Nashville. He's starting to put it out wider. Nashville, he's putting in big old strides down the middle. Do I Know You goes to New York minute, but Nashville, he struck the lead at the 75-metre mark, and he's going to pull clear with the Winter Cup. Nashville, too good for Do I Know You. Nashville with a bit to do. He is last of all at the 700 metres. Nashville's into the clear out wide. He's starting to unwind. Nashville, he's trying hard under the big weight. Elfie, Nashville went to her on the outside. She's got to kick Elfie. Nashville trying hard. He's going to do it. Nashville won it.
Yes, isn't he an absolute ripper? Nashville, he's only a handful of $1,000s away from breaking the $1 million mark, and he'll get his chance on Saturday at Riccarton Park in the Winning Edge Winter Cup. He's up the top of the book, and a lot of things align as they did last year. Kate Cowan does the riding. He's under 60 kilos, and yes, he was running on in the Opanaki Cup last start. Hello to you and welcome to the first call brought to you by IRT. Lovely to have you on board with us here this morning. Jason Tarn and Aidan Rodley back on board once again. It's that time of year where we start to really fizz for that spring racing.
Morning, Matthew, Aidan and everyone. Back for the new season. Who would have believed that? $5,805, I think Nashville's shy of $1 million in stakes. He is one heck of a horse. The jumping is going to be outstanding there at Riccarton. Looking forward to the steeplechase, the coral steeplechase. Some high quality in that, and well, that's not denigrating the hurdles either.
Yeah, we've got some real depth in the jumping ranks again this year, and there's a few that are sort of holding off getting to Riccarton to get ready for Great Northern and Pakuranga and things. But the horses that have gone down to Riccarton, and basically most of them have gone down because that Coral Steeples field is all but one of them are Northerners are heading down there. It's just setting up for a terrific Grand National Carnival. Wednesday with the hurdles, Saturday with the steeples, and of course, yeah, can we see Nashville do it all again? I know you want him to.
Absolutely. He's one of our old faves, isn't he? And to get to $1 million, he's the perfect wet track horse, son of Darcy Brahma. So all the best to everyone with their charges on Saturday. Well, Jason Tarn had a bit of a fill-up last week. Aidan Rodley,
Did he?
Some really good results.
Well, I emptied the bank and then doubled, basically what the outlay was. What do we have? Rosewood, Shelley's Ace, Helen Milady, all scoring for you, Jason. Well done. Nice tipping, and I think could have been even better. Had Yorkshire Dales had got up as well.
I had Stu Lang on my sights. I really wanted to run him down, but yeah, unfortunately Yorkshire Dales came up about a neck or a short neck or a hedge
Would you have got
shy. If he had won, then would have got him.
Nice.
But yeah, some good results, and overdue a really big fill-up like that. So hopefully that sets the tone. Starters one end.
Exactly, and congrats to Stu as well, because he had that very good week where he just knocked it out of the park, and because of that he came up.
I must say it was very hard to get around two large buses that were parked, one by Aidan Rodley and the other one by Stuart Lang. So after getting past Aidan's bus, it was impossible to penetrate past Stu's.
Yeah, so what about the little kid that's running that's missed the bus, waving his hand going, I'm over here?
He gets another chance.
He's sitting on zero.
New competition this week, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've got punishment still to come from last time, and I think we're doing some foodie thing.
Well, of course, we owed you a dinner from your great bet around 2 days wins. And I think we're going to combine a couple of things. No, it wasn't good for Matthew.
It was a bet. We'll describe it as a... But anyway, yeah, we'll solve that in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned.
Of course, the Punters Lounge in operation, tab.co.nz/Punters Lounge. And jump onto Facebook. We've got a bit of a competition running on there between Aidan Rodley and myself. We're giving away a $100 bet. We've got a bit of a strategy for the weekend, so we'll see how we get on, and no doubt that will involve Nashville somewhere at the $17. Let's have a look at the leaderboard and how we ended up after our last 10 weeks in the punting competition. Congratulations to Stu Lang, $2,114. Ahead of Jason Tarn, $1,600. A-Rod, you broke clear, and the little boy running after the bus, he's on $0 down the bottom.
Well, it's not often you see someone win a week by $1,600, is it? Which is basically what Jason Tarn's done there. So well done, Jason.
Had to, as I said, there's no prizes for running second, unfortunately, but gave it a nudge and just came up shy.
Yeah. To which a few of us were complaining. We thought there were prizes for second.
Exactly.
And we've already put a complaint into management. We thought there was a prize for second. Someone said on the show last week there's no prizes for running second, and that was the messages went out.
I was just taking the rule of survivor, really, which is absolutely brutal for running second there.
For sure.
Let's set the scene at Riccarton Park. Rail back in the true position. We haven't seen the rail in the true since the 27th of April there, where we raced on a good track, and the team have put the rail back in the position. We've got flat racing, hurdle racing and steeplechase racing. This morning, Friday morning in Christchurch, was a little bit of an overcast morning with some dew and a little bit of fog, so that slow to heavy track condition is the expectation, obviously.
Yeah, that's going to be, it'll loosen up obviously with a bit of rain.
I'd say if we get a little bit of rain, it will loosen up, but if it doesn't rain, then the 17th around Nashville's probably not looking too bad. Let's have a look at the market for the Winning Edge Winter Cup this year. The 121st running, last year's winner Nashville, $17. Flying Sardine, she draws close to the inside, $9.20. Elfie, she's the other way, she's drawn out $8. This time last year she was lining up, and this is a $50 shot. Last time she raced at Riccarton Park was the New Zealand Cup. She's Poppy. She is $6. And we're going to scroll down to the remainder of the runners, including Des at $6s and Red Sierra, a really interesting runner, at $5.50. Your thoughts on the market and how it's developed, Jason, from when you first saw the futures come out?
I thought that She's Poppy might hold outright favouritism. So Red Sierra, obviously she's the progressive horse on the rise, and you've got to respect what she's been able to do for the Hearths. She's been brilliant. She steps up to 1,600 metres, which on the face of her, of how she races, shouldn't be any issue whatsoever. But yeah, I thought that was pretty tight at 5.5. Any
concerns in this grade over 1,600 metres? I know we've seen horses who can get away with it in maidens 65, but in an open handicap against horses that are very well credentialed, is that a concern at all?
Well, the rough and tumble of the Winter Cup is just that. So you have to be a sturdy galloper, there's no doubt, and that's why Nashville was so good in winning it with the top weight last year. There were a lot of pretenders, and I say that, you know, respectfully enough, but there are a lot of horses on lighter weights that Nashville conceded weight to, and he came from behind all of them, went through them and beat them all. So it's not an easy race to win. You have to be right on top of your game. But Red Sierra, she does look like she has that upward plane about her.
Where do you have him landing, Aidan?
Yeah, I've mapped here, obviously we've got a field of 18 that will run. I've mapped 21 of them, just to give you an idea. So I've mapped right down to hand it to Jonesy. And that doesn't mean we're including Moira Bella, who, if that horse gets off the ballots, I think is the leader in the race. The Gordonian is the other one. Although I did speak to Jo Gordon yesterday, and she said from that draw they probably have to go back. Strolling Vagabond, Fascinate, hand it to Jonesy, Elfie, Flying Sardine, Timmy Tyler, Des. They've all got some sort of pace there, but I think it's going to be a race for the swoopers, just the pressure that we're going to get in this race, and that's where Nashville probably is in the worst spot. And again, speaking to a few trainers, you know, if it is going to be testing, then being out wide in the draws, if you can get cover, and I think there'll be a wide line, you know, running line in this race, then if you can get cover back in the field, I think it's advantageous.
What about Des and Taurus? You've got them in interesting spots, 3 wide with a little bit of cover. You say that the Gordonian may go back. Let's say JKB Riddell pops out, sees no speed. Does he punch forward with Taurus?
Well, possibly. Obviously, once again, he's drawn 17. Des is out there in 14. But, you know, you can, I think, afford to be able to be positive out of the gates and then look for cover 3 wide. And I'm sure the horses like that may well be able to get it. So it's going to take savvy rides, but that's what it takes to win a Winter Cup.
Well, he was second last in the race last year at about the 700 metres in Nashville. Let's go back to that. Here he is in the gold cap with the green starting to weave between. The Platinum Command was very good in this. You've got New York Minute in front, Taurus outside the pace, and Elfie just couldn't sustain her runners there. Some concern, Jason, about Elfie being in the clear too early?
Potentially was a sitting shot, but look, these are decent horses that are running past. You know, Nashville obviously is very high quality. You spoke of Platinum Command. Now, she's 3.5 kilos, or carries 3.5 kilos less than last year, and of course she was second the year prior in the Winter Cup by a narrow margin. She seems to me to be coming into form at a good time. There's a sense of timing about her that I don't want to disregard either. I think she's a touch of value.
Exactly, and you talked about that was last year. You talked about the weight swing. We'll go back 4 starts, and you're getting that same weight swing. Was beating Strolling Vagabond and Nashville very easily. Won that race with those horses finishing back in the race, and comes in 3 kilograms better than both horses this time round. I agree with you. I think Platinum Command might be something of a forgotten horse. That run last year for 4th was very good. She's now a 7-year-old, so not getting any younger, but obviously all of these horses are only a few days into the next year, so I think she's a contender.
I very nearly made her a bet Platinum Command.
Yeah, I thought she was a good price.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Elfie. Chris Johnson doing the riding this year for Michael and Matthew Pittman. Here she is on the rails. She's able to get underneath of the Gordonian. 2's not enough in this race, as well as Finbar, who hit the line well, but he's currently going to require 1 scratching to get into the field. What did you take out of this race, Jason?
Well, this day at Oamaru, the inside was the best place to be, the inside 2 or 3 metres. I thought the run of the race was Finbar, enormous. Alfie was given every chance and she was good, and she probably did knock off maybe the last 50. And you know, we saw last year's Winter Cup, and like her run was good in its own right. She's been outstanding and very consistent throughout this season for Team Pittman, and she's up for that bonus, isn't she?
Yeah.
So Chris Johnson will be looking to give every opportunity to her, but it's a different scenario, wide draw compared to drawing the rail and getting the suck run on a track that favoured those that were close to the rail.
Yep, she's in very good form though, and you can't rule her out. Obviously, the Pittmans really target this week. They haven't got anything in the jumps races, all of them on the flat races, and all targeting the big money. And like you say, Alfie will earn Faye Torrance, the owner, a $25,000 bonus for the Oamaru Cup Winter Cup double. But like you say, Finbar was good. Again, another tricky little barrier draw, but looks progressive. Just needs one scratching to get into the race for Finbar.
Yeah, if he was to get into the race, then out of those horses from that race, he would be the one that I'd be considering.
There's no real great weight variances either. I think basically they're all dropping 2 kilograms or very close to that. So there's not a decent swing out of that race into the Winter Cup.
Could be a good week for Raymond Collins. Of course, he'll line up Wise Men Say in the Coral, and then through to next Saturday with the Grand National Steeplechase. His runner in the Winter Cup this year is She's Poppy. This in the Ag Challenge Stakes. Tom Aleda, this was a good win from her, but She's Poppy pretty brave, Aidan.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, here's a horse who the distance won't worry about. She was down there at Rickett and running around in the New Zealand Cup back in November. Has had 2 starts back, one over 15.50. This very good second win, all but wins the Ag Challenge at listed level at Wanganui over 15.90, and then given a freshness. So she's obviously a very down horse. We've got no problems with the way that the Connors present horses in a fresh state, because they are master trainers. There's no two ways about it. Ray Connors, what he's achieved, but it's going to be a test. Barrier 15, first up for that amount of time. It's still not going to be easy, but she's got the quality. I know you're pretty keen about it too, Jason.
Yeah, I am really keen on her, Aidan. So, you know, they went within a head-bobbing nose of missing a $50,000 race, but that's enhanced her claims, if you can believe it, for this $100,000 race, because she doesn't get the penalty. It's as good as a win. So she, to me, comes into it really well. She's Poppy. You've got to trust Raymond Connors as being an outstanding condition of a horse. So to me, the 2 months, as long as there hasn't been an issue, which I don't gather that there has been with her, then you'd say that all systems go, because she won fresh off a break that was 2.5 times that length at Awapudi, and she was very good in doing so on a very testing track, beating Platinum Command.
Is there any concern about Rickett? And like I say, she's been there 3 times and never really fired.
I don't think so, because the majority of those runs were on good tracks, and I think it's shown now that she needs some cut in the ground. So her best runs anywhere have come on slow and heavy tracks. 3 of those runs are on good tracks. So I think, and one of them was over 3,200 metres.
Yeah.
You know, so I would say, in answer to that, no. I don't think the big track is a major issue.
Okay, Simon Wilson will bring Des to Riccarton Park. He's only had 8 starts to the races. He's still a horse that's probably got a little way to come, Aidan, but he's doing everything on natural ability at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. While the Winter Cup years sometimes like one of those hardened, experienced horses, you've got to respect those horses. They're coming in on light weights, down the bottom. They're coming into this in good form. Obviously, Platinum Command's in good form. Now, Platinum Command out of this race stays at the same weight. Des is actually dropping a kilogram, so he's actually getting an advantage over Platinum Command, who we're already talking about as being a contender, but he's a sense of timing about this horse. He was very good in his first preparation. Things went wrong. He's been off the scene for a while, but he's come back in strong form. It was a good win on a testing Trentham 1,600-metre race in the white, beating home a couple of key contenders here, and I think has to really rate highly in this race.
What's really hard to measure, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this, is that Trentham track, just how much of an advantage has it been for those in the inside 2 metres, even though it's sort of raced, it's been heavy. So again, you saw Des and hand it to Jonesy fight back after looking beaten, and maybe the timing of Rosewood's ride wasn't as it could have been, but you saw Platinum Command also loom, and she ended up getting progressively further away as they fought back on the inside. Just how significant do you think?
Oh,
that
I think it's significant.
It's hard to quantify, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but then you're getting the weight swings against those horses out there. So this time round, I think you can still put your faith in Des to a degree. What Platinum commands, I think 1 kilogram worse, and I think we're seeing Hand It to Jonesy if it gets in 2 kilograms worse. So yeah, while there might have been an advantage, I think it's going to be negated by the weight swings anyhow.
Okay, with form around Shelley's Ace, Red Sierra is the next horse we highlight. This is a runner that's only had one run at 1,600 metres. This was over 1,200, Jason. What are your thoughts on her? Can she win?
Oh, no doubt that she can win. It's just a matter of finding her price. I couldn't find her as short as $5.50. I found her at 10. So that's sort of how I lined her up in the market. Obviously, that still rates her in the top 5 chances in the event because it's a big field and, you know, everything, it's a handicap, big field. There are a lot of genuine chances in the race. But you love what she does in the closing stages of this. Again, in the part of the track that you'd have to say is not as good as the others. We've referenced that already. So, you know, you'd have to plus that again. That's a really soft win on the line, Red Sierra.
You do plus it, but once again, then you've got to put the context of the two fields.
Yeah.
There was nothing like what she's meeting here in the Winter Cup. But she's very similar to Des. She profiles the same way, that she's an emerging horse who's coming into this in very good form and on a light weight. So, yeah, she's a contender for sure and does draw kindly in 4.
Jason, what do you make of Fascinate? Of course, she was victorious in the Great Eastern, may have just needed Ashburton.
Well, as it stands, that draw looks awkward, but in this big field, with the ability to punch forward, I'm sure that Jacob Lowry, being the tactician that he is, will be searching for a spot in the first 4 or 5. If she gets across there rather cheaply and there isn't much pace, she's shown how good she is. So she's certainly a leading chance, the daughter of Falco.
Yeah, well, what about Flying Sardine? Can you make a case for it?
I just think that her recent racing and her wins take her pretty close to where her limit is. And so there are a few other horses that have sort of been around her that, yeah, that are probably better chances than Flying Sardine. Look, I really like what she's managed to do in the last few starts. Like she won at Riccarton, what was it, 3 starts ago, beating home Alfie pretty pointlessly. And there's not a heck of a lot between them weight swing wise. So.
Just while you are just talking about other runners, just one horse I just want to mention is Strolling Vagabond. Obviously, the win last time out was a little bit circumstantial. He was able to stick to the inside. But the horse that it beat was Rodrigo, who's since come out and won a Tomatanui Cup. And there's a little bit of a sense of timing about Strolling Vagabond. So don't discount him. I think he's, or her, I think she's coming into it. And I think with barrier 6, it gives them a really good opportunity to take up a good forward position as well.
She was another horse that I nearly sort of wanted to create a Dutch book with a couple of others, and then I found myself possibly backing 3 or 4, and I didn't want to back 3 or 4. I just wanted to back one each way. So I'm happy to go She's Poppy on an each way basis from the bank as well. But Platinum Command and Strolling Vagabond to me shaped as potential overs as well. So I don't feel right not having a bet on them given that I'm rating them overs. But I think they will run well. Strolling Vagabond was, you know, over the carnival this time last year, not far shy of winning a race. I think placed second and was just in behind the placings. So, yeah, she knows Riccarton and she runs it well enough.
For me, yeah, like this was the race that got us going last year, wasn't it? We were on to Nashville and we're away. Everything's honky-dory, but I'm just not so sure this time round from 21. I'd love to see him do it. In the end, he's just around my selections. I've got Des on top, but it's not a race that I'm very confident with, so I'm going to play it as a no bet. Who would you be on?
Give me as much of the 7 teams on Nashville as you can get me.
Okay.
Do you have like a friendship ring? Like maybe you and Nashville should have some sort of bond. Like maybe you could like. Well,
he'll forever be the first big galloping race that I called. So nice. I'll have a soft spot for him. You remember your first horse you fell in love with, and the first girl probably too. That's been our preview of the Winter Cup, the 121st running this year at Riccarton Park, brought to you by Winning Edge. Stay with us. We go jumping next.
Rosewood, that'll do me. Lisa Allpress. She's my best of the weekend.
She's a gun. Another for Lisa Allpress grabs the first 2, and Rosewood too good.
I'm happy to go with her, Hello Milady, because I think she's got a heck of a lot of upside.
Hello Milady and Stradivarius having a great battle at the line. Favourite got there, I reckon. Tauranga on the 1st of August in the 2100 metre race. Divine Duke should have won its last start. That'll be very competitive with the 4 kilo claim on the 1st of August in a rating 65 race. So keep an eye on that. You'll probably get $5.
But it's Divine Duke and Taiki Yanagita clearing right out in the last here. Oh, this is the real Divine Duke today, and he's bolted in.
He's good, Stu, isn't he?
Yeah, Nostradamus like that, wasn't it? 1st of August, this is the race. Yeah, got it.
Didn't even know the draws, didn't know what else was going to be in there. He's just lobbed it straight onto us. Got on you, Stu. Nice work. Look forward to seeing what you've put together for us later on here in the show. Well, last year he was our first ever, the first call special, Scapolo. It was a hard watch. He's back again this year for the Norwood Farm Machinery Premier Sprint over 1,200 metres. Slow 9 track currently. He's $2.60. Sarah McNabb with the 2 kilos off puts him in well. Salamanca, he got back into winning form last start, $4. And Wise Act and Dress to Kill, both at 7s there. Dress to Kill with a kilo off its back. Surely, Aidan.
Surely, Matt. Surely. I'm with you. I think barrier 6s are a real advantage for him. He was 4 this time last year and went back to the fence. I think Sarah McNabb, knowing what happened in this race last year, she'll be just anxious not to be pocketed. What I think will happen is she'll just make sure that she's on the outside of another horse. And if he's on the outside of another horse, how do they beat him? Like, his trial was very good. He's high class, and I think it's made to water for him here. I've got Dress to Kill and Dynamic going forward. I excuse the horse who beat him last year back in there again. Salamanca will get somewhere handy. I think Wise Act is the horse that Sarah can really just work to be on the outside of.
Looks like there may be a pretty genuine tempo, especially with these 3 up front.
Oh, yeah. Early maybe, but it'll settle, and I think they'll run it pretty moderately. But the one thing about Scapolo is that he can quicken off any speed, and I think this really does appeal as his race.
Well, he quickened off speed a little late last year. Let's go back and relive it. The 1,200 metre sprint at Riccarton Park. Here he is in a pocket just in behind Irish Excuse. 5 Kings keeping him there. Dynamic was good in this last year.
Seriously, who put this video in? Who put this video in?
I did, because I wanted to buy it.
This is, wow. Look at this.
How much did we have on this horse altogether from the first call specials?
I had honestly purged, it's a year ago.
I think we were 100, weren't you? You're 100 on it.
In fairness to Sarah McNabb, she's got a really good record on the horse. This is basically 4 rides on it, I think 2 from 4 maybe, something like that. And I could see what she was doing there on the day. And she just needed an ounce of luck and didn't get it. Sure. So it's one of those racing situations where very much I know I was speaking through my pocket, but he looks the one. He looks as well placed this time as he did last year, and you're actually getting a bit bigger price. Yeah. $2.60. So he showed at Blenheim in April that he's still got that sharpness left. I know that's a few months ago, and he wasn't disgraced at all at Whanganui. Again, he's been fresh and he looked great at a Waverley trial.
How narcissistic would it be to ask the bookmakers for another Scapolo special?
What do they say about the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? Well, we're doing it again, and we are expecting a different result. Come to the party, Sarah.
We should do. How do you see Irish Excuse placed in here, Aidan? Half a kilo down on what he won with last year, and he's the sort of horse that often when he's dropping back from 14, 16, he can run a cheeky 12.
Yeah, exactly. He was good last year. It was a really positive ride, and that was basically the winning of the race in the end. His run at Riccarton here 2 starts back was pretty good, and dropped 3.5 kilograms out of that. That's that Tsar Whip races, one of the key form races into this as well. So I thought he was in nicely in the weights, especially with Scapolo's presence there, and it means they can use a senior jockey, although, you know, with Sarah McNabb's claim, it does bring Scapolo down to a lovely weight. And you look at those horses in behind, Scapolo in that trial, Mitigard, who goes round on the program, looks like a really nice bet. Art Deco, Bachelor Babe, who's won out of that race since, Sensible Princess, who's high class, William Wallace. So they were not, you know, they were good horses, and he's left them standing in the trial. He's definitely the horse to beat, and I think this is his go.
You know, winding back the clock as we often do on this show, 3 years ago, Scapolo won this race, and he beat Salamanca.
Do you know who rode him?
Scapolo or Salamanca?
Scapolo.
Would have been Jacob Lowry.
Yep.
I've got it right in front of me.
It's
not my brain. My brain's frazzled at the moment.
I think that was a nervous watch too, if I remember rightly, was it?
Oh, I think won by a couple of lengths, according to this.
But I think he may have got pocketed somewhere and then hit the gap.
I think in some ways that's the horse and how you get the best out of the horse sometimes. Just hold him up and let him get clear air to charge through. But where do you put Salamanca in this? I've got Scapolo as a bet in the race, but Salamanca coming off a win. How would you rate Salamanca?
Well, you take the sentimental part out of it that he took so long to win that race.
Yeah,
there's no
he's
reason
coming
why
to
he won't run a
form
cheeky
well.
one.
That Tarapa form's going to stack up already. Drops a kilogram as well with the newly crowned stakes winning jockey and Daniel Hidini aboard as well. So a rough chance, but I'm all over Scapolo. I'm happy to back him on a win basis in this race. And if the bookies do happen to go down that line and offer us another special, I'll jump on that as well.
Jason?
Yeah, Scapolo's the bet for me in the race.
No, I think it'd be the bet for all of us. $2.60 the price.
We're going to the well again.
We are. And runners will be going to the well in the first race of the day at Riccarton Park in the Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge Sydenham Hurdles. In fact, we're going to look at the Coral Steeplechase first. Wise men say $3.50. The Big Opal $3.30. Shorter trip here. Do you favour him in this race versus a viewpoint to the Grand National, Jason?
I think his history says yes. He's won the last 2 runnings of this. And he hasn't managed to win the Grand National steeplechase. So I think he's a deserved favourite. Good ride for Buddy Lammers to pick up. You'd expect that the tactics will be, as it often is with him, and let him roll in front. Chocolate Fish, an interesting one. Now, they've got a head-to-head record, I think, of 3-2 when they've met, the Big Opal and the Chocolate Fish, in favour of the Big Opal. But yeah, wise men say, is weight going to slow him down for this, and is it going to be the big dance that he's going to be better?
Potentially, but they've been really positive on the last few. And, you know, I know like, we'd sort of seen him in a couple of races being just dropped out, left to his own devices, but he seems to be a more interested horse when he's up there. He just seems more switched on. And there's no reason why they can't ride him up there, as we've seen in recent starts as well. You know, he's now a finalist in Jumper of the Year, and you know, I think he's going to go pretty close to winning that after, you know, a Northern and a Wellington win. So he's in decent form. I think if he's handy enough, there's no reason why he can't be winning. For mine, he's the best horse in the race. Whether he's the best placed horse in the race, I'm not so sure, but you know, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, isn't it? With a viewpoint to 7 days' time, Grand National Steeples, of course, what an uppercut run 4th in the race last year, comes out in a slog. And
well, uppercut's run in it 4 times and ran second at the year prior to that, and has an excellent record, obviously, at Riccarton. This is when Mark Olligan has him firing. So he's got to be very much respected.
He's a horse you want to be keeping an eye on in this race for sure. He's going to be a fever pitch next week.
Okay, bets, the Big Opal?
The Big Opal on top for me. I don't have any bets in the race. I think he's well enough found at $3.30, but I think he can make it a hat-trick.
Okay, let's go to the first race on the card, and it is the Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge. You're a bit like one of those bobbleheads at the circus. Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge Sydenham Hurdles over 3,100 metres, laykeeper $3.40.
I know when to shut up.
$3.90 the Shackler and Jack Frost $4.80. Now you can talk because Jack Frost's one of your old friends.
It is. He's a horse who did me very kindly through the last session, and I think he's on class. He's got to be right in this. He was second behind the Energizer last time out, but drops a couple of kilograms on that, and his win at Timaru, the start before, was just clinical. He was unlucky in his start prior to that, but his record is outstanding. He's had 5 hurdle starts with 3 wins and 2 minors. No problems with Riccarton. He's won here twice, and you know, you're always going to spot him in running because he's just a prominent horse, and this is the way he goes. So I think the run was good enough, and he dropped some weight to be a contender here, Jason.
Well, it was, again, we're winding back the clock, but this time last year when he went back-to-back in hurdle races from, I think it was the Wednesday to the Saturday, wasn't it? And he was brilliant in both. This is the Energizer sort of beating him there, but you thought, well, in a year's time, is this the horse that can do the double, the Sydenham into the Grand National hurdles?
That's what we were sitting here saying, wasn't it?
I can't remember exactly what we're saying, but I think probably we're throwing it out there. Why not?
We had that discussion about Jack Frost, and this is a horse that we can probably say now is ready to put his hand up because he is very classy.
Well, I was going to say all those musings in context, because this is a really good hurdle field, or field of hurdlers.
Yes,
and this Laykeeper here is another example of it. How good has Laykeeper been at Te Aroha under Emily Farr? a horse that you'd say would be positioned right on the pace and has trotted up here.
He's absolutely walked in, and then his run on the flat at Te Rapa last start, he was full of running in that as well. He has worked a long way from home and just kept on giving despite being wide in running. He seems to be in very good form, and he just seems to be such a progressive horse in this, you know, in hurdles.
The incredible thing about that flat race is that third in that race was Tamira, who went out and won a hurdle.
And Tamira was the run of the race,
and so, you know, you've got two hurdlers that ran really well on the flat. One of them has gone out and won, and you'd say, oh, well, what's that as a form reference? Well, it shows that they are still running well, which is important.
Well, Paul Nelson sits on 199 wins, and he's got the Shackler up the top of the book. Is it a case, Aidan, of him pressing forward and trying to control the race, or is there some pressure that you see coming?
Oh, I think you go with the way the horse always races, and he will be the leader in the race, I'm sure. Obviously, it came undone last time out, and he was beaten a fair way, not persevered with. He goes up a kilogram on that, but this is more his go. You know, the first day with a. You know, the pressure won't be quite on as much as it will be Wednesday. He'll be out in front, and he jumps well. He's a good front-running hurdler.
I think I'd be interested to get the thoughts of Kuru and Crop, who ride the Shackler and Go-Go Gonzo, because those are the two horses that potentially could be at it for the lead, and quite how hard they push each other might go some way to determining the race. We haven't even talked about Guy Fox. Miss Mia was brilliant last year, won by a wide margin, so there's a lot of quality about these horses that are going to be jumping the hurdles.
Yep. I believe Go-Go Gonzo's had a couple of health mishaps along the way too, so some forgive jobs there. All the best to Sean Cameron with him looking to defend his title in the Sydenham Hurdles on Saturday at Riccarton Park, and of course placed second in the Grand National on the Wednesday middle day last year. That is our preview of Riccarton Park. You can find the rest of our preview on tab.co.nz/Punters Lounge, but for now we're taking a break here on the First Call with IRT. See you shortly.
Oh, well, he's a big boy, that's for sure. He's a very happy horse. He's rather an athlete. He's always shown that he's had ability to sprint, but the time we've taken with him is, you know, he had growing pains because he's been such a big type that you have to look after him. Yeah, a huge individual that wants to run.
Saturday night at the bar, he is the sort of horse that you would not want to get in a brawl with. His name is Julius, and he is an absolute tank. And he lines up, fresh up on Saturday. What a chance we get to see him back in action. Jason Waddell to take the ride for John Bell. Full of confidence, the team there, aren't they, with Julius on Saturday. Track conditions, Te Rapa, your hometown, virtually, J-Tar? 4
mils of rain overnight, Thursday to Friday. So the track at the moment should read a slow 9, but the expectation is with some fine weather that it could come back to a slow 8. The rail in the 10-metre position. It was in the 12-metre position for some 2-year-old trials a couple of weeks ago, but expectation is it should race rather evenly around that slow 8.
Well, he's 6 from 10, Julius, and we're going to take a look at the market for his race. It is the 6th on the card, the Allied Security 1200. $2.110 his price. He comes up with 59.5 kilos under close-up. 63.5, he's $8.50. Down to Magnum, $6.80. I suppose it'd be a case of weather permitting with that one, would it, Jason?
I think so, but I'm sure that they'd be wanting to get the run into Magnum. It's hard to believe that we're going to be talking about Julius as probably our most exciting sprinter, given that 3 days ago he was blowing out 7 candles. He's obviously getting on in years and has only had 10 starts, but man, he's exciting.
Yeah, speaking to John Bell this morning, he's probably not wanting to be on the inside. He's probably wanting to be off the fence. I've mapped him in the trail here for the purposes of the speed map, with Resurrect getting to the speed. Southern Icon, Barry Rate really is suitable for him because he can then push forward out wide. He has been missing it up at Ruakaka. Magnum to get forward, Fire Jet, close up, Contessa Vanessa. I don't think there's a lot of speed in any of those, especially from Contessa Vanessa back and trip and with the wide gate. I think the wide gate just means if they want to go back, otherwise they're going to get caught
If
wide.
Jason Waddell wants to get off the rail, there should be an opportunity, you would say, off your map, Aidan?
Yeah, I would have thought so. And Jason, you know, he knows this horse. He's got such confidence in him, and obviously he was terrific last preparation, going through to these 2 Group 3 wins, the Concord, then the Darley, and he did establish himself up with the top tier of sprinters here. He's come back. He's had that exhibition gallop at Te Rapa, looked very bright in that, and the reports from John when we spoke to him this morning was that the horse is in pretty good order. Just not 100% sure how he'll handle a rain-affected Te Rapa track, but I think he's pretty confident in that he's going to present in pretty good order.
Just want to make a special mention too of Jason Waddell, who's come out in the last couple of weeks saying that they're going to make a percentage donation of his riding over the next 12 months to the Mental Health Foundation, which is just a fantastic thing for our jockeys to be getting behind. Now we're taking a look at close up here at the trials, and it's a line pretty strong in this one, Aidan. What do you think of him with the big weight?
Oh, obviously it's 63.5 kilograms, which Shelley Hale probably hadn't expected to get, but rather than claiming she's wanting Grant Cooksley to get a feel of this horse ahead of the Foxbridge Plate, then onto the Tarzino Trophy, which he did win last year. He was third in this race last year, in behind Volpe Veloce, and that was under 60 kilograms. So he's probably going to be better with the run anyhow. Yet to win in 6 starts at Te Rapa is a little bit of concern, but he does race well fresh, winning 3 of 6, and he did win fresh up last preparation as well, beating home Darcy Mack, who is a rival here. I thought the trial performance was okay, the exhibition was okay. He's in good form, but whether he can win it with 63.5 is maybe doubtful.
Melody Bell was the horse that beat him in that trial, and of course we know how high quality she is. She's going to be potentially a sprinting force this season also. You would just say that 63.5 will probably settle back. You would think we'll be giving a horse like Julius a conservative 3 lengths turning for home. That's going to be a lot of ground to have to make up with that weight in a effectively fresh state. I
think it was basically what we were saying at the race last year, that, you know, close up probably under the 60 wasn't going to be able to out-sprint Volpe Veloce, and this time round Julius just comes in a nice spot and probably looks the pick of the pair. Well,
Contessa Vanessa's got a very similar record in terms of numbers to Julius, Aidan, but maybe just a wee bit too short, fresh up? I
think so. Like, she was very good going through the grades last preparation. She was winning an 8 carat at Ellerslie, ran second in a Royal, went out, was unlucky in the spring too, wasn't she, in the Eulogy and the 1,000 Guineas, and then she sort of stepped up, won the Sunline Vase, was very good in the New Zealand Oaks, and then went over to Sydney, maybe just one bridge too far. She'll come back in pretty good order because, you know, she's just a fighter. She's so genuine, but whether 1,200 metres might be just a shade short for him, not too sure. The transition to 3 to 4 is never easy for a mare either.
Jason, this should be a race where most of these horses, we would imagine, will pick up 1 or 2 during the spring.
You'd think so, although you've got a couple of horses like Firejet, Darcy Mack. I know Darcy Mack's it's only going to be his 5th run in this prep. Firejet, I'm not quite sure where they'll go, but he has been up a long time. But look, I keep coming back to Julius in this race, and also have a healthy respect for Magnum. But if Julius, if he can get into clear running, then I really do just expect him to win the race.
Yeah, that trial of Magnum's was okay too. It was in the fastest of the 4 open heats that day, and we know the horse was good enough to be winning a flying handicap at listed level last preparation. But yeah, I'm with Jason. I'm very keen on Julius here. I'm happy to play him as a win bet in this race.
Is this the sort of situation, Jason, that we could take Julius and people will say maybe $2 too short, I want to make a bit more on my Saturday? Throw Scapolo into a $10 multi? Is that the sort of way that we could attack this?
Yeah, that's potentially true. Look, I'm backing Julius on the fact that I do think he's enough value at $2. Yeah. I mean, you look at it and you say, well, it is short because there are some doubts. You don't quite know how forward he's going to be for it. You don't quite know whether he's going to cope with the sand-based surface at Te Rapa, which is racing differently to how it raced a year ago. So, you know, if he gets behind a horse or two and gets some kickback from sand, how will he respond to that? Because he's a bit of a goof. But he's got a heck of an engine there. I just expect Waddell to handle him as perfectly as he's handled him whenever he's ridden him. I know Jake Bayliss has ridden him a couple of times, but Waddell's handling of him has been nearly faultless, and I know he's got a lot of time for the horse.
3:14 will be the start time on Saturday at Te Rapa of the 1,200 metre feature. Good to see Julius back to the races. Let's go to the 3-year-old race featuring Cyber Attack. It's race number 3, the John Letts guest speaker, 17th of August, over 1,100. Von Trapp is the favourite, 280. $3 for Cyber Attack, only a kilo difference between them. Tiny Terrace, $6, and More Wonder at $6. The 3-year-old form, Jason Tan, just starting to take a little bit of shape now.
Yeah, and this is going to be another revealing race with regards to that, Matthew. Aidan, you've got Tiny Terror and Von Trapp sharing the speed.
Yeah, exactly. I think part of that is around barrier draws. Tiny Terror does draw on the inside of Von Trapp and showed a very, very good gate speed when scoring at the Te Rapa trials. Prior to that, he was a horse who was beating Rivaducci and Bobby Dazzler in the first trial, and both of those are unbeaten first start winners. So the form's good. It was 19th trial last time out. We've got more wonder just with a wide gate having to go out a little bit. And Cyber Attack, it'll be interesting just to see where they posse out, because this was a positive ride this day in a good field as well, Jason.
Sat outside of a last start winner, Lady Lira, and he really quickened away from every other runner in the race. It was a top performance. Very elegant, caught the eye finishing on, but look, it was all about the winner here. If he comes with that sort of form, then it's going to be a really interesting race with Von Trapp and potentially Tiny Terror, because Von Trapp, this run here I thought was sensational. He's still got a lot to learn, the horse. Prior to this, he had 3 trials that he won. Then on race day, he got to the front and you can see him sort of looking around, and then Andrew Calder, who has him very well balanced all throughout, then asked for a little bit more with a whip or 2 down the neck and then 1 behind the saddle, and he's starting to dodge around a little bit. And
he's a little bit green still, isn't he? You can see him
much.
just coming out in the closing stages, but he's been to the public eye on 4 occasions, 3 trials and then that race day appearance, and won the lot of them. There's a really interesting trial there, the trial at Te Awamutu, which he won. Now, in that, he's beaten Tiny Terror, who was 3rd in that race, and has flanked that with trial wins both sides. And Lord Arthur was 5th in that trial, and has since come out and won at the Te Rapa trials, beating Bobby Dazzler, who was a winner at Tauranga on Wednesday. So it's just a really neat sort of race where a whole lot of horses getting sort of ready for 3-year-old stakes assignments are clashing, and I think it's a ripper.
There'll be a real fizz factor around Lord Arthur being the half to Bonnievale. But you would, to me, it looks like over 1,100 metres, that's perfect for Von Trapp. I think Andrew Calder will ride Von Trapp with a lot of intent to find the front. If he doesn't get it over Tiny Terror, then I think he'll sit outside, but he might choose to really push the issue, find the rail, and let the horse extend.
I hope they're really positive, Shafiq Russoff on Tiny Terror, because I think if he's on speed, just the way he left them standing last time, it was a 9-length trial when he did it effortlessly, and his first trial, as I said, he'd beaten home 2 horses who have been to the races once each and both won and beaten them. And his trial win was 2 seconds faster almost than Lord Arthur, who's then come out and beaten Bobby Dazzler, who's a winner since as well. So there's just enough about Tiny Terror to say here's a horse with a real factor about it. You add in the likes of Cyber Attack and more wonder, and it's a terrific race.
Let's talk best bets for this week before we head to the break and see how we got on last week with our $100 best bet spend for the weekend. And Jason Tan, you Rosewood, is that correct?
Rosewood, yes, you did it for us again, Rosewood. Boy, the drop back in distance didn't end up being a problem. It was beautifully handled by Lisa Allpress, and she got the job done really nicely.
Does this end and we start again, or what's the go here?
I hope so. I hope so.
But
Yeah.
Minus 530. Got to find a $6 shot this week.
I think I got rolled into 2nd last week, so anyhow.
Jason, your best?
Hand it to Jonesy, and if he starts in race number 9, now needs 3 scratchings to start in the Winter Cup. I think if he starts in race number 9, he's going to be very hard to beat with Charlotte O'Byrne claiming 3 in that race. I really like him as a horse from 1,800. I prefer him over maybe 2,000, even though he's run okay over 1,600. But I really like him as a horse, and I think the Howarths have him in excellent form. He should have won dead set 2 starts ago, and he ran really well against Des and Rosewood last start.
Aidan, your best?
I'm going to do it. Scapolo. Did it this time last year, but yeah, I think on the strength of that trial win, he's coming into Riccarton where he does race so well. He loves those wet tracks, and yeah, he's beaten a whole lot of very good horses at trials in pretty good style. What about you, Matt?
I'd love to make the 17s the best bet with Nashville this week, though, but I've got a horse that I've got a lot of time for in race number 7 at Riccarton Park. His name is Jamie. He is a son of highly recommended, very good winning second up to the races. Lisa Allpress would take the ride for Michael and Matthew Pittman, and he does have a pretty decent public rap on him, so jump on board and see what price you get in race number 7.
Something just fell on the floor there. Nashville's not your
They
best
were
bet.
your marbles.
All right.
Stay with us here on the first call. We've got our Australian expert Dan O'Sullivan for the first time live on the first call. He had a fill-up last week. We'll see how he got on after this.
Nature Strip, what's going to run second? I'm not sure if it'll be Sunlight, it'll be Daylight. Nature Strip clearing away here, and Nature Strip, oh so impressive.
Here's Mr. Seawolf lengthening. It's Flow in front of Mr. Seawolf. Mr. Seawolf goes to Flow. Mr. Seawolf, Flow. The Wolf, Mr. Seawolf.
But it's all Vega Magic at the 150. 4-5 lengths in front of Voodoo Lad Jungle Edge. But the Magic has returned. Vega Magic scored by 4 lengths.
Plenty of Everest talk over the last week or so, especially with some results as well as Minari coming out of the field. And Daniel O'Sullivan joins us for the first time live here on the first call with IRT. Dan, good morning. How are things?
Hi guys, really great, thanks.
Last week obviously must have been poetry in motion for you as a punter and also as a viewer.
Yeah, look, it's nice when things go well. A couple there were at tight odds, but look, it was really in some ways a treat to see in still 2/3 of the way through winter some Group 1 quality sprint performances put on the track by both Vega Magic and Nature Strip.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this week, and obviously we see Kementari returning to the races. How exciting is it from an Australian perspective to see him on a pathway to the Everest?
Yeah, look, it's great. I mean, he lines up first up running the Missile Stakes. I think he's definitely, he was one of the top 3-year-olds from last season, and he's a horse that's being spoken about as, a possible contender or for a slot in the Everest. So I think there's plenty of motivation for the stable there for him to come out and put his best foot forward tomorrow.
He draws in barrier number 4, Dan. He's currently $2 on tab.co.nz. In terms of where you see the horse mapping in the race, are there positives or negatives to that?
Yeah, look, I think it's a great draw for the horse. Even though there's only 10 runners, there's quite a good deal of speed in this race. The Monstar in 3 will look to push forward and control it, and he's going to be kept honest by Showtime, Music Magnate, and even Takedown, who's drawn wider, showed some good speed in a barrier trial recently. So I think Kementari from barrier 4 there, he's going to settle probably 3 pairs back. If the speed's really hot early, then he may be 4 pairs back, sort of 7th, 8th, but offsetting that will be the pace will be much faster up front. So I think the race really sets up nicely for him. It really is all about how he returns. Last preparation, he put 4 ratings together at sort of Group 1 standard. That gives him a comfortable edge over the best of what any of his opposition can do. He has trialled well recently. As we mentioned, he's drawn to find a nice position without too much risk. And just with that motivation for wanting to put his best foot forward as an audition for a potential Everest slot, I think he's going to be fully wound up here to put something forward like his best, and I think if he does that, he'll be too good for this field. He's got a terrific turn of foot, so he can afford to give him a start, and he's got that late strength to be the strongest as the leaders start to tire from the good pace up front. So look, we're not going mad. I think around $1.90 is probably the longest I could assess him. So I think anything better than that is a small edge and a worthy betting prospect. And he's even money at the moment, and on the day maybe a little bit more generous. We may get 205 or 210.
We know the ability of Pierrata, Dan, and James McDonald taking the ride could only be a positive.
Yeah, he's a very talented horse, and look, he's probably the second most talented horse in the race behind Kementari. I guess the query I do have about him is just on the map from the draw there, he's likely to go back. And although the pace will suit, the key is that he's going to be giving Kementari a head start. It's hard to imagine a scenario where he settles in front of Kementari here. And I just think that takes the gloss off his chances a little bit. He's probably relying on Kementari to run well below his best, because I can't see if the Godolphin horse is anywhere near his best, that Pierrata can give him a start and run past him to actually win the race. Although, look, I do suspect he's going to run really well and probably set himself up for races, perhaps over 1400.
How far away do you think She Will Reign is from hitting its best form, Dan?
Look, I think she can return here with something close to her best. She's a great first up and fresh horse. She's unbeaten in 4 runs first up, and the key is here that drawn the inside there, Karen's just going to be able to have a look at what's happening in front of him, choose a good tactical option, and providing a couple in front don't fall back in his lap. I think she's set up to run really well in this race, and at the rating level she can run. Look, I think she, if you're looking for a bet outside of Kamantari, She Will Reign to run a place. I think it's a really nice bet in this race.
Fantastic work from you last week, finding us 3 winners out of the 3 races that we did preview. What have you got in terms of your best in Sydney and Melbourne for us this weekend?
Look, I will say they're both really tough races, but in Sydney, we've looked towards race 9, number 6, Soothing, Godolphin mare. She's a very progressive mare. She was really impressive winning in May, put some quality figures on the track. I suspect she was sort of put away for this time of year now. She won a recent trial. And look, on that rating and also her previous form, even if we forecast her back off that level a little bit here, she's still clearly the horse to beat. Great rider in James McDonald. She maps well, and I think you see that she's around $3.90. I think that's a really tidy bet. And at Moonee Valley, race 7, number 11, another Colby. The Darren Weir runner. He has now sort of found his form. The 2 starts ago, he was placing in a Saturday class race with some good form around it. He won at a midweek in another strong rating, and this horse has shown recently he can be effective in genuinely run races. He can run fast time. In slower run races, he's got a nice sustained turn of foot to run the good sectionals, and I think he's come back now in career best form and around 350 at the moment. I think that's kind of tied, but I do expect him to get out a little bit on the day. And I think that on a really tough program at Moonee Valley, he's a rock-solid betting prospect.
Dan, thanks so much for your time this morning, and we look forward to the racing in Australia on Saturday. Dan O'Sullivan there, our Australian expert, and he was 3 for 3 last weekend, so certainly worth following on from his tips. Let's go to Petone. Thad Taylor, good morning.
Morning, Matthew. How are you?
Very good. How was the weekend wash-up from last weekend for you guys in Petone?
Look, I think it was a tough old day last Saturday, and yeah, look, punters probably did reasonably well last Saturday. It was a pretty fair fight all the way. Obviously, we got away with one in the last there, LIR at Rotorua. There was a lot of multis finishing on LIR. Fortunately for us, it couldn't do the business, but up till that point, it was pretty tight all the way. So, you just snuck out in front, maybe, just.
Just want to say thank you for the 17s for Nashville as well. How did you go framing up or dealing with the Winter Cup market?
Yeah, with great difficulty, Matt. You look, these big handicap fields are always going to be tricky, and just gives a lot of horses a chance. So you're going to have those horses like Nashville, like Strolling Vagabond, out at $18, $16 and the like, and they're in with a live chance. So yet the money, as you can imagine, is extremely well spread. Look, She's Poppy, probably the early money has been there among the favourites we have in this market. Red Sierra, the other one right up the top of that market, but She's Poppy's the one there. And Alfie, a lot of people got some lovely tickets around Alfie before it won the Oamaru Cup last Sunday. I think it was out around $31, $41, now $8 in our final field market. So some people pretty chuffed for themselves, I'd say, around Alfie.
In the jumping races, Thad, have there been many money leads?
Yeah, these are always tricky, Jason, these lead-up races to the Grand Nationals. So there probably hasn't, I guess, what I would say is there probably hasn't been a lot of money for the likes of Wiseman, say, and perhaps even the Shackler as well, which you might have expected to see. And I think we will see come Wednesday and Saturday respectively. So I would just closely watch those markets, because if there's any movement, it might be away from the favourites onto something that really needs to win to assert itself into the main race that it's going for.
Thad, we see Julius resuming at Te Rapa. Any money coming for him early?
Oh boy, oh boy. I think the day at Te Rapa is going to hinge on a couple of horses, and one of them is Julius. $2. I've already had a $2,000 bet as soon as we opened on Julius. We knew it was coming because he's been 18 into 12 in the Tarzino Trophy, so we knew he was ready to go. He's a real up-and-comer, and the money's certainly there to back him up. So he'll be in everyone's multis, I'd suggest, Matt, at $2. The other one's Von Trapp. Boy, oh boy, they got an absolute stack up at Ruakaka, and they're willing to reinvest already. I think this race opened half an hour ago, and we've already had a $2,000 investment on Von Trapp at $2.80.
Well, we're 12 months in, Thad. This time, 12 months ago, here we were sitting here getting what, $250 for Scapolo to win. That was probably your favourite race watch of the year, was it?
So many that you guys provided me with, I can't think.
What have we got option 1, selection 1 for the first of the new season, Thad?
I think that you're back on track here, lads, with Scapolo, $2.10, and we'll refund you if it runs second. Now, I think there's only 8 in the race, in the race number 6 there, the open sprint. So $2.50, I think, or $2.60 as it currently stands in the final field market. Option 1, selection 1, $2.10 around Scapolo. If he runs second, you'll get your money back. He's the winner of 6 on the course. He was a very good winner 2 starts ago. He's been freshened up with a trial win. He looks awfully hard to roll. If he does get rolled and runs second, you'll get your money back. We'll leave that option open till 5 o'clock tonight, Matt.
Enjoy your weekend, Thad.
I always do. Cheers, lads.
Let's hope that he does have an enjoyable weekend, and we do too. Scapolo.
Yeah,
210.
7 horses in that race, so the money back for second, a decent option.
Yep, I think I'll have a bit of that. It just gives you that insurance factor, doesn't it, there as well. So.
Away you go.
Okay, we'll take you through mine for starters, and yeah, we'll take you through Riccarton first. And yeah, I thought it was pretty tough down there, but gone with Scapolo on top. Another of the Kevin Myers horses, Mitigard, was second to Scapolo in that trial. But it's been home horses.
We'll
like
get a good lead too.
Princess, and so it's good shopping there. Ave Marie was very good against the pattern last time out, so I'm going to stick with Kevin Myers there at Riccarton. At Te Rapa, you want more 15 to win on the likely leader there. Very keen on Wilbermere. I think we'll get a decent price about this horse. Was massive last time out, running on from a long way back. Soundworks very similar, is bringing decent form from the previous race against other key runners, and obviously keen on Julius as well. I'll have 75 on the first course special, the money back on Scapolo.
It was 16 to 15 to the North Island last year. Kevin Myers with 10. He went 4, 4 and 2 over the 3 days, so we probably expect something similar from him.
You South Islanders still keep score North versus South. I think there was a relic from
it's us
a few
Kevin
decades
Myers.
ago. Oh, okay, right, yeah. $11 and $3.40 Soundworks.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really good price.
I had a little bit of that last night.
At Te Rapa, Von Trapp, $20 to win, pales into insignificance with the $2,000 to win bet that Thad just advertised. Julius, $50
Probably
to
yours
win.
then.
Riccarton race 3, other hand. Race number 6, Scapolo there. Mitigard, I agree with you, Aidan. I think he's got a sense of timing, and I wouldn't be
What sort of price do you reckon we'll get?
I'm hoping you'd get 5 plus, but I don't. I think that might be wishing.
I think
that might be wishing. She's Poppy, 10 over 20. Hand it to Jonesy, 50 to win. Little multi there. Julius had to hand it to Jonesy, and a Scapolo Mitigard Myers multi.
Exactly. Mitigard's against your bet and Jamie.
Yep, I like Jamie though.
Yeah.
Okay. Run under its belt. Can't argue with Kevin Myers though, can you? High-grain race number 5 going again with it, 40 to win. Te Rapa, 60 on Julius. Try and double our money there. Fire Show, Miss Maxi Park. I found that one of the most intriguing races to sort of try and work out in the variables between those two runners, draws, and whether Fire Show will cop a heavy Riccarton track. We know Miss Maxi Park will. Nowhere Man in race number 3, good odds around him. I think he's about 7 and 3. Scapolo 50 to win, Jamie 60 to win, have to go 20 on Nashville. I'm going to box him up in a trifecta with Des and She's Poppy. Can't have Red Sierra in that, and hand it to Jonesy in race number 9, 30 to win on it. And over the page, Igrain, Julius Scapolo, $50 win multi, and I love Lay Keeper in the first. I think Lay Keeper is one of our more classy hurdlers, and the Big Opal looks well placed to go back-to-back. In the Coral, $375 this spin.
What will you do if Nashville wins? Like I'm
just lucky I'm not calling. It's a sort of race I wouldn't want to be calling tomorrow. We'll leave that to...
What's Stu gone for at Riccarton?
Stu?
Te Rapa, he's got it all up there, races 1, 3, 7 and 8, and a $10 all up, so he's stipulating all up rather than multi.
Just sticking to the north too, by the look of it as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shall we just give him 100 on Scapolo? tab.co.nz/punters lounge, you'll find that. Jump onto Facebook as well with Aidan Rodley and myself, a $100 bet giveaway on there. Thanks, gents. Jason, Aidan.
Cheers, mate.
Punters Lounge. tab.co.nz, jump on there, find all the selections, and we're going to preview each and every race from both of our cards. They'll be on social media over the next 24 hours. With
Punters Lounge Live starts tomorrow.
It is, yes.
10 a.m.
Well, tell us, we've got 30 seconds, tell me about it.
Do we?
Quick.
The Punters Lounge Live at 10 a.m. We'll be speaking with Jason Waddell. We'll be joined by Raymond Connors and obviously Matthew Cross, Greg O'Connor, Aidan Rodley, around the grounds with the track managers, all the latest info for, I guess we'll call it the big Saturday of racing.
with Biowormer, and all of that without an auto cue. How was that? There we go. That's the first call brought to you by IRT. To you at home, all the best over the weekend. Thanks for watching.
Sorry.